Dreams do not have a filter that your normal, polite, waking self puts up.
Welcome to the hidden meaning of dreams with Sweet Georgia Pam.
It does matter what the dreamer themselves associates with those things that come up in the dream.
Spiritual director, dream expert, author, and educator, Sweet Georgia Pam is here to remind us that dreams are the answer. They're always with you. They know you better than you know yourself, and they're always trying to tell you the truth.
There's some back and forth here between you and some awareness.
And now your host, Melissa Carter.
SweetGeorgiaPam.com. I just love that name, Sweet Georgia Pam. That is the website where we can find out all about Pam. If this is your first episode of the podcast, thank you so much for listening. If it's your 20th, I was going to say 50th, but we're not quite at 50. We're close. SweetGeorgiaPam.com is the website. Sweet Georgia Pam on social media. Sweet Georgia Pam, how are you today?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm
I
good.
don't know what else to say besides I'm good.
I know. I asked the same. I gotta mix it up. I mean, we're a long-term podcast now. I gotta, what's your high low? I worked at a company once where it was the high low was, what's your high of the today and your low of today, and that kind of thing. So
like the icebreakers, 2 truths and a lie. Go.
I could do. What was when we were kids that you filled in the blanks? What were those called?
Oh, Mad Libs.
Mad Libs.
Ooh, I love those. Yeah.
Those are so good.
Yeah. That reminds me of sitting with my cousins in my grandparents' house. I was just back there just now in my head. Thank you.
Oh, cute. It reminds me of my mother. We would do Mad Libs and laugh. And then I don't know if you remember the laugh machine. Do you remember we had a little machine that we would press a button and it was somebody laughing. If you listen to it long enough, you start laughing. Like laughter is so contagious. And we would be so tickled just by listening to somebody else laugh. And that
is so adorable. It's so simple.
So simple. It was in a little bag. It came from like Spencer's Gifts or something, and it was in a little bag, and you would just Spencer's Gifts. That's another. Anyway,
I almost said I remember Spencer's Gifts, and I'm like, they might just still be around and be like, "Hey, dude, we're right here."
I know, right? Yeah.
You don't have to remember us.
Exactly. Just take a drive to the mall. There's still some malls available.
Right.
All right, but we do have a dream. That's what this podcast is about.
Good. Okay.
So a listener has asked about a pet butterfly. A pet butterfly shapeshifts into a man and tries to follow me. I try so hard to ditch it. Any interpretation of that dream, please. I'll repeat it. A pet butterfly shapeshifts into a man and tries to follow me. I try so hard to ditch it. So obviously not a positive response to this butterfly.
Pet butterfly. I'm like, oh, but then
I know, right? And then it gets dark.
Yeah. A little too close. Get away. Get away. All right. Well, let's go there. So, here's what's coming to me. The first thing I think of is not a butterfly, but a moth, and that expression, like a moth to a flame, and the moth being drawn into. I'm like, well, the flame isn't dangerous. The flame is the dreamer. So then I'm like, well, the dreamer gives off a heat signal.
And no, we are not under the influence of any. Boy, now that's,
you know what?
That's an episode we should do. We should drink on an episode and just get the drunk interpretation.
Drinks and dreams.
Drinks
oh my God, Melissa.
That's an event. Anyway, I'm sorry. Leave it to me to derail you.
I took us off onto that fun path. Yeah, no, it's like it just happened real fast in my brain. It was like moth to a flame, and then I'm like, nope, the flame isn't right because that's the dreamer. And then it was like, well, they give off a heat signal, and that's how like snakes find their prey is from a heat signal. Okay. The other thing that's popping into my head, and I need your help with this because you're the movie buff.
Okay.
I don't know anything about. Wasn't there a horror movie called Mothman?
Yes.
Isn't Mothman a character?
Yes.
I don't know anything about it.
It's been a long time, so I couldn't even tell you. But yes, that is a character.
And it was a horror movie, right? Okay. Here we've got a pet butterfly shape-shifting into a man and following or pursuing the dreamer. So it makes me think of Mothman. Let me drop into that for a minute. Like a moth to a flame, a pet butterfly. Okay. That's really significant that it was a pet, right? Who has a pet butterfly? I used to be a teacher, and we would have we would have the little caterpillars that we would observe as a science experiment that turn into butterflies, and then we release them. But a pet butterfly means that it has been nurtured and cared for by the dreamer. Mm-hmm. So the dreamer oh God, cool. So the dreamer was nurturing and caring for something beautiful, something transformative, because when we think of butterfly, you can think of that caterpillar to butterfly cycle, and that's transformation, post-transformation. So caring for something beautiful that then shapeshifts into a pursuit, a threat, and trying to ditch it. That's a very specific term to use, is trying to ditch this guy so he can't find me. It's like the reverse. It's like the bond of a pet then turning to, wait, I want the opposite of that. I don't want you to even know where I am or be able to find me.
That, to me, that describes so many relationships.
Oh, no.
Everybody's like, oh yeah, I've had that relationship before.
Right? It starts as something beautiful and you're fawning all over yourself, and then suddenly they turn and face you, and they turn their emotional truths and stuff start to come to light, and suddenly it's a different scenario.
Arm's length, but no, but you're right. I mean, because again, pointing out when you write in a dream journal or you're thinking it in your mind, like she said, specifics are important. The fact that it was a pet butterfly, not just a butterfly, pet butterfly, there's part of the definition, right? Like you said, ditch, like that's not a common word that we use. And so you have to pay attention to the language you're using if the dream is fresh in your mind, because it really all plays a significant role in it and interpreting it.
This is a really good opportunity, I think, to speak about this part of dream interpretation. One of the techniques that I use, I don't talk about it very often because it's Pam brain stuff. It's just how my brain works, and it's hard to describe. But one of the things I like to look for is, what is the movement of the dream? What I mean by that is, like, what does the story arc look like? And sometimes dreams really lend themselves to exploring that, like this one. The story arc or the movement of this dream, if it were in a 3-dimensional space, is like moving in towards each other, and then moving, how do I say this, in tandem away. Like there's a particular, this is why I don't explain it. This is why I don't introduce it, because I can't explain it, but I can see it real well in my head. The movement of this dream.
Can't you see my brain? Can't you see what it means?
I need AI for like Pam's brain to just put it all out there for people to understand it, because I can't do it very well.
Well, your brain works faster than your mouth. I understand that. That's okay. We're here.
I'm trying to keep up with my brain. But the movement of the dream tells us something about what's going on. If this were my dream, I would look for that movement or that spatial dynamic in my waking life. So it would show me where has a relationship shapeshifted and changed direction. That's kind of what's coming up for me.
Yeah. Well, you can reach out to Pam anytime, because it's hard sometimes to interpret dreams without the follow-up questions. We talk about that every week. If you want your dream interpreted, you can get a one-on-one session with Pam at sweetgeorgiapam.com.
And then, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
no, you're fine.
But when we do the one-on-one, you can tell me if my explanation is coming across or if I need to try again. And we can work in dialogue to get it out of my head.
Well, you have longer than 10 minutes to try to figure out what Pam is thinking and saying. You know, if you need a translator, we can work. I'm just kidding. SweetGeorgiaPam.com.
Some days are better than others.
Sweet Georgia Pam on social media. And I do want to point out, I think we got one more episode before we take another break. So Pam and I are both mothers of young children. And we find that the next few months tends to get very intense when it comes to children into the school year, summer, and everything. So just letting you know that after next week, we're going to take a break. So it's a great time to not only catch up on past episodes, but also to share our podcast with your friends. to go ahead and get that dream journal, to spend the summer, filling it out.
That's right. Start practicing everything that you've already learned up to this point. All the skills that you've acquired just from listening to the show, put them to use over the summer. And see, and come let us know.
Exactly. That way, when you have all these dreams, you can come on the show, right? Mm-hmm. And you can have them interpreted. So anyway, just giving you a little warning that we'll be taking a break soon. But we sure appreciate your support. And Pam, I always appreciate your analysis. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hey, sweet dreams, everybody, and enjoy. Oh, we're not done yet.
We're not done yet, but
we have one more.
Yeah, I just gave a little tease out in case we forget to say it next week.
I'll just say sweet dreams, everybody.
The content in this podcast is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Pam Muller is not a licensed mental health professional. If you or someone you know suffers from severe, persistent nightmares, please seek medical help.